Welcome to all our delegates. We hope you enjoy our interactive webinar. For more information about EECMS, please feel free to visit our website at www.eecms.co.za. Thank you for attending.
Good morning, everyone. As you know by now, my name is Pieter from EECMS, a company dealing in employment equity compliance, ensuring that companies deemed designated employers are in total and full EE compliance. Okay, so number one, thanks to everyone for joining the webinars the past month or two. The purpose of this meeting, we want to show you what we as EECMS has to offer you and your company to ensure that you can be productive with your other roles and responsibilities. Okay, so pertaining to employment equity, we are consultants, been in the industry for just about 13 years myself, one of the senior e-consultants. We have Barry in this webinar as well, being a senior employment equity consultant. Okay, so a couple of years ago, we started utilizing an online portal. We implemented certain things, and where companies can take days or weeks or months to finalize the E-committee, the E-manager appointment, the EAP analysis, the employment equity plan, and the submission of your EA2 and 4 reports. We can literally do in less than a day, okay? So, Barry, I'm going to hand over to you, and then you can proceed with the demo. And colleagues, I doubt that we're going to be in this webinar up until 1 o'clock. We will finish a little bit earlier, but I will, of course, be available to answer any questions, and so will Barry be as well. Barry, thank you. You can proceed.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so as you can see here, the application that we utilize is not a software that you have to install or download. The application is web-based, so you can access this from any device that has internet connectivity. We do, however, recommend Google Chrome. The reason being for this is that Google Chrome automatically updates itself from time to time, where the other browsers do not. So we sometimes experience issues with the other browsers. However, it does work on all the other browsers as well, just that if the browser is not updated, then you sometimes have issues on the system itself. So as you can see as well on this login screen here, if you your company has multiple entities. We can link all your different entities onto one user profile or multiple user profiles, shall I say, and you are able to access any of the entities directly from the same place, shall I say, same user interface. Then you can select which one you want to work on. So I'm going to select this second entity here. So as you can see, once you log into the profile, you are then automatically opened up onto the company's dashboard. So the dashboard shows you quite a few different information categories. The first being how many days until the DL's portal closes for submissions for the year. So that's 78 days. How many days until your EE plan expires? You have access to the Employment Equity News portal. So when you select that option there, you're able to see daily updates of anything EE related in the news. So it gets updated on a daily basis, and you'll be able to see exactly what's going on in the country in regards to the employment equity sector. You also get your announcements directly from the system here as well. It also shows you your promotions over the last 12 months, your terminations over the last 12 months, the appointments, as well as the total representation in your workforce. So that just gives you a breakdown of what the total representation on your workforce is. So this obviously, this dashboard will change from time to time as and when the developers updated. There will be new additional information added here from time to time. So you can expect to see changes happening on the dashboard on a regular basis. Then the entity page. This is where your company's basic information is listed. So this is the same information as what you would see on the front cover page of your EA2 or your EA4 report. So it's all your basic company information, as well as your current plans dates, your next reporting date as well. This gets pre-populated by us. When we receive your company information, we pre-populate your entire profile, and we then hand it over to you once the profile has been populated. So this information is already in place once your profile gets handed over to you. On the CEO and EE Manager tab, I think I'm going to use the other one, Pieter. This one doesn't have the CEO signed here for some reason. Okay, so the CEO and EE Manager tab. This is where we assign the CEO and EE Manager's information. Once it's assigned here, you don't have to go and manually add this information to any of the documents or reports or the plan at all. The system's algorithms go and assign the CEO and EE Manager's information to any of the EE documents where they are required when you generate a document. So that's automatically assigned. Also, once you assign the the EE Manager's information, it generates the EE Manager appointment letter automatically for you. As you can see there, it pulls the person's name across, their occupational level, their race and gender, as well as all the roles and responsibilities of the EE Manager, and all the requirements are in the document as per the DL's requirements as well. And you are then able to print this document out or save it as PDF directly from the system. You can also obviously edit the information here. And if you need to add a new EE Manager, you would add them on this button here. Once you add a new EE Manager, the previous EE Manager will appear at the bottom of the current EE Manager, and the current EE Manager will always appear at the top. And then the Employees tab. So this is where you manage or maintain your workforce profile. So you can either add an employee directly from the navigation bar here. And the following is required fields. So name, surname, ID number, gender, ethnicity. If the person is disabled, those are all required fields. Occupational level required, job title, job description is a required field as well. Your effective date, very important. You need to obviously put in the correct effective date here. As whenever you add an employee to the system, if you promote someone, or if you terminate someone, or if you add a training date to a person's name, the system in the background is busy populating your EA2 report for you in the background. So as you go through the year maintaining your workforce profile, the system is literally busy populating your EA2 report for you. So you don't have to manually generate that or manually create your EA2 reports. That is system generated. Once you have selected all your required fields, so everything after the dates itself are not required fields. So you have to input everything here up until your date. Thereafter, these are not required fields. And then you click the save button, it adds the employee to your profile. If you miss a required field and you try and save this employee, the system is actually going to prompt you and tell you that you've missed a required field. You need to complete all required fields before to let you save the physical employee onto the system. Then you can also generate the detailed employee list. So this is literally, we normally, for the setup, we require a one-page Excel sheet from the company. We then import that, and that's all your company's or your employee information is listed there. So as you can see, you can also filter for certain data. So you can obviously filter out for any specific information you're looking for. You got all these fields that you can actually utilize for filtering the information. You can also utilize column visibility. So should you want to export only certain data, you can remove any columns that you don't want to see in the actual export, and then you can export this to Excel or to PDF. You can also search by name, surname, ID number, occupational level, etc. So I can, for example, type in an employee's name here. And anyone by the name of Arbel will appear, and I can obviously search directly for that person's surname as well. Just going to close that off. Okay, then to access an employee's profile, you will then obviously select the view button and the employee will be visible to you. And this is obviously the profile where everything gets tracked here by dates. So if you promote this employee, you will see when they were promoted and to what occupation level they were promoted. If you update remuneration, it gets recorded here. So any movements that happen to an employee over the time period of their employment at your company will be listed here. This is also where you can do any of the actions you need to do. So as you can see here, you can either promote the employee here, terminate the employee, add a training date, or amend some of the basic information. So to promote an employee is quite simple. The system already knows what occupational level the employee is on, so it only gives you the upper levels of the occupational level. So as you can see, this employee is on semi-skilled, so it only has the upper levels available from junior management to the top management. You'll then select the occupation level, the new job title, the new job description, the effective date, and then you click save, and it will then promote the employee into that occupational level. To terminate an employee, also quite simple. Select the termination date. All the legal reasons for termination are currently listed here. Should you want to use your own reason, you can select other and type your own reason in here. You click the terminate button. Once you terminate an employee, they don't get deleted from the system. They are set as inactive, so they are no longer on your active workforce profile. However, they are still available in your actual employees page. The reason for this is two reasons. The first being that if you delete the information, you will lose your historical data. The second being that should this employee come back into your employee again, you can reappoint them directly from the system again without having to add their information a second time around. To add a training date. So this is obviously for EE purposes. This is only training done should the person be trained for future promotion. The system also warns you about that as well. And that is obviously appears on your EA2 report under the skills development. And you will put the training date in here, click save training date, and then that will then add that to your EA2 report. Then the last option here is your amend. So the amend button, should an employee not already be, should you not have already reported to the Department of Employment and Labor, or you haven't got an active EE plan on your profile as of yet, the system will allow you to change pretty much all the information. So, but as soon as you generate your reports and submit them to the department, or you have an active EE plan, you aren't able to change certain information. So you won't be able to change the race or the gender, or whether the person is disabled, or the occupational level. The reason for this is the system is basically ensuring that your data integrity remains intact. Because should you have submitted, for example, this gentleman here, Abraham, as an African male, but after your reporting period, you now find out he's actually not an African male, he was actually a colored male, you can't just go and amend his actual race, because it's going to then all of a sudden you're going to have one less African male on your workforce profile and one additional colored male, but there were no movements done on your actual workforce profile. And then it's going to red flag you at the Department of Employment and Labor, because they're going to ask you, but where did these employees come from? Because there's no movements tracked on your EA2 report. So hence the reason why the system does not allow you just to amend information once you have reported to the department. However, should this happen, you will then contact us as the consultant, and we'll then obviously explain to you or consult with you how to rectify this going forward without being red flagged by the Department of Employment and Labor.
Please bear in mind, I've mentioned in the red flag webinar that we had that consolidation is imperative. So the online portal actually does that for you. So in other words, you had 100 people, you terminated, let's say 10, you reappointed 5. You don't need to go through last year's report to ensure that you are doing the correct consolidation to not be red flagged by the Department of Employment and Labor. This online portal will warn you to say you cannot do this. A pop-up will appear saying, please phone your consultant. You make contact with EECMS. We do a quick Zoom meeting. We explain the scenario and we see what we can do the way forward. Okay, and as you can see in front of you, and remember, please, ladies and gents, this is only a demo company. It's fixtures information. You can see remuneration. They're split between annual fixed as well as annualized variable. What you can do and what we do for our clients when we start off with a meeting, because remember, we facilitate your quarterly meetings. We provide you with the meeting minutes and the registers and the agendas. But what you can do, if the committee is involved and they are not supposed to view the remuneration, you can literally click on meeting mode on, and the people within your meeting will not be able to see the remuneration. Okay, and that's quite imperative because now you're having the meeting, you want to go through this information, and even if you click on view any one of those employees, the remuneration will also not appear on that employee's profile. Okay, so that Barry will also explain a little bit later when it comes to users and users with admin rights and super users. But Barry, you can proceed. Thank you.
Perfect, no problem at all. Thanks, Peter. And then the next section here is your workforce profiles. So you'll see that there's a drop-down box, and you're able to view these profiles separately, or you can generate them all at once. Just as you can see, there's different tables here. I'm just going to generate all workforce profiles for the purposes of this demo. Okay, so the first table being your main workforce profile. This shows you the exact amount of employees you have as at the current date. You can also backdate this as well, but it always defaults to the current date when you generate this table from the get-go. So as you can see, this demo company has 1,310 employees. It shows you the split between all the occupational levels as well as the races and genders as well. So you can see exactly what the split is on each occupational level. You're also able to, should you want to know who these employees are, let's say, for example, you're looking at this profile and you're not sure who these 15 employees are here on junior management under African male, you are able to hover over this, you click on it, and it shows you exactly who these employees are. And you're also then able to work on their profiles directly from here. So as you can see there, you can go straight to their profile and work on them directly from this profile as well. So you don't have to go to you can actually maintain your workforce profile directly from this table as well going forward. You can also export these documents as well. So you can export this to Excel or to PDF. Should you want this information for a meeting, you are able to export these different tables to that as well. I can go also back to, let's say, for example, 5 years. And you'll see 5 years ago, this company only had 266 employees. So they obviously grew a lot over the last 5 years. And also shows you the split there. And you can also view the historical employees once again on any of the occupational levels or races and genders. So it shows you exactly who these employees are.
And you can also view, of course, just to mention on this as well, the online portal is built in such a way that you can backdate information from the 1st of January 1900. If your company existed back during 1900, you will be able to backdate the information to the 1st of January 1900. Okay. Thank you, Barry.
Perfect. You can also view a disabled workforce profile. So should you have disabled employees, you can actually view them here as well. And then you are also able to backdate this. So you can go to any date range that you would like to look at. You're also able to view your recruitments over a given period. So I can, for example, go back 10 years here. And I can calculate my recruitments, and it shows me over the last 10-year period, I have this company has recruited 1,314 employees, and also shows you the split, obviously, between occupational levels and races and genders there. You can do the same thing with your promotions over a date range, as well as your terminations and your skills development. So I, for example, can go here as well and quickly put in a date range. I'm going to go back 5 years here. Calculate terminations. This company had 12 terminations over the last 5-year period. Then the historical workforce movement module. So this module here, we actually created for a DG review in specific. It was implemented in December last year. And the reason for this is that the Department of Employment and Labor was hassling a company that was under a review in regards to the fact that they did not have certain races and genders on their workforce profile. However, in this specific scenario, this company was in a very small town and they didn't have any colored communities in that town. So they weren't able to, so they actually never had colored employees on their workforce profile ever. However, the department kept saying they need to recruit colored employees. So we created this actual module here. So what this does is you can also go over a date range. So you can go back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to go back 10 years as an example here. Calculate the growth. And what this module does is it actually shows you the workforce movement over that period of time. So that 10-year period as an example, in regards to appointments, promotions, and terminations for each occupational level and each race and gender on the workforce. So you can literally export this document to either Excel or to PDF. And we normally submit this as additional evidence to the department together with the DG document so that they can actually look at your workforce movement over a given period. So you look at the historical movement of your workforce to see that, yes, look at this company. They might have a 2-year EE plan, which doesn't show any colored employees, and the current workforce profile doesn't show any current colored employees. However, over the last 10 or 15-year period, they also did not have any colored employees, hence the reason why, because they don't have any to select from, any colored communities to select from. And they actually approved the plan thereafter when they saw the historical data that was provided to them. Then the building of the EE plan. So this module here is what we utilize to set up your committee as well as to build your EE plan and EAP analysis. So you'll see the first section here is the EE committee tab.
If I can just come in here.
Ladies
and gents, colleagues, you have to remember one thing. We obtain information from you. We build and do the setup for you. We require and request your previously submitted EI2 document to verify the dates for red flag purposes. Then we build your current plan into the online portfolio. And or if you don't have a plan, we go through this entire process. So what Barry is showing here to you today, you have to please bear in mind the following. It's not an online portal where we give a handover, you change the passwords, and Bob's your uncle, and you never hear from us again. When we are saying building your e-plan, you have to start with your committee, because you now already have appointed your e-manager. You need to start with your committee. We do this process with you. Okay, we ensure total and full e-compliance, being your consultant, utilizing an online portal that becomes your property for as long as you remain a client of EECMS. So we don't leave you in the dark here. We literally follow these steps through with you. And even when we meet with a committee, discussing the plan, discussing the EI2 report, etc., we do that with you. And that's why my email stipulated, we don't just leave you, we do it for you. Okay, of course, with your input, we have to by law, but building your E-plan, building your EIP analysis, barriers, etc., which Barry is going to discuss just now, we do that with you as well. Okay, thank you, Barry.
Perfect, thanks, Pieter. Okay, so as you can see, once you log into this module here, your current EE committee, your assigned committee appears here. As soon as you assign a committee member on the system, it generates the acceptance form for you and the appointment letter automatically. You'll see the appointment letter, person's name gets filled across here, their occupational level, their race and gender, who they represent in the committee. So this person here represents senior management designated. It also has all the roles and responsibilities of the committee member. And this can be printed out or saved as PDF, and also needs to be signed off by both the EE manager and the committee members. And this has to be in hard copy in your EE file.
And Barry, if you can just scroll up to the top. Again, colleagues, we have to remember one thing. We've done more than 70 DG reviews the past couple of months, give or take 12 to 14, 15 months. The first thing that could happen in a DG review is, let's look at the constituency of your EE committee. If the constituency is not 100% as prescribed by legislation, the DL inspector will say cancel everything and redo everything, because it is as if you have done nothing. Resuscitate your EE committee, and then you need to look at the following. Well, if you click for me on senior management non-designated, you will need to work through all of those to see. But listen, once we have covered the occupational levels, colleagues, you have to have an additional race and gender, being African, colored, Indian, and white male. Same for female in your committee. That person representing the particular race and gender. The online portal already determines. So if you click for me on African males, Barry, as an example. Okay, so now you covered your occupational levels. You do employ African males. Now you need to assign at least one African male representing African males within your company, not the occupational level, but the race and gender. Of course, it goes without saying. Colleagues, if you do not employ, as an example, any Indian males, the online portal will show you don't employ any Indian males. You do not need to have an Indian male representative representing Indian males. Okay, again, total and full EE compliance. Us becoming your consultant, it's our responsibility to ensure that when there is a DG review, that we can say, client, everything is above order, everything is on par. You don't need to worry. We're going to assist you with a DG review. We actually guide our clients even through a DG review. And when there's supposed to be amendments to an analysis or an EE plan, we facilitate that process. We don't charge anything additional, ladies and gents. We assist, we do a Zoom meeting, and we say, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so the most important step number one, your EE manager is appointed. Thank you very much. Do you have a formal appointment letter? Yes, we do. Thank you very much. Are they in, is the appointment letter in the correct requirements as prescribed by the legislation and the stances by the DL? Yes, it is. Thank you very much. What is my next step? EE committee is your committee representative of occupational levels, races, and genders. Should you employ disabled, do you have at least one disabled person in your committee? No, we don't. Then they will say, resuscitate your committee. You must have at least one disabled representative should your company employ disabled. Okay. So that is extremely imperative to note, because an inspector, and we've seen it on numerous occasions previously, will tell you it is as if you have done nothing. Cancel everything and start over from scratch. Okay, thank you, Barry.
Okay, thanks, Pieter. Okay, so what you'll also notice as well is the system actually, once we feed in or import your Excel sheet into the system with your employees' information, the system literally looks at your workforce profile and it breaks up all your different employees into the different designations. So you'll see if I go, for example, senior management designated, this person here is deemed senior management designated. And if you need a senior management designated committee member, because you have one of them on, you have a senior management person being designated, you need to assign them to your committee. So it already shows you the possible nominees for each occupational level, and so that you can make sure that your committee is completely compliant with the legislation going forward. You're also able to
maybe select for me, sorry, Bay, maybe select any one of those. Let's almost say the African males that we spoke about just now. Okay, what you can then do, should you like to go through a formal nomination process, when you click on downloads, you can click on organogram and it will actually show you all the people within that specific level, race and or gender, whatsoever the case may be, to see who needs to nominate who. Okay. Thank you, Barry.
Perfect, no problem at all.
Barry, when you click on EE committee for me again,
Yep.
just so that it defaults, I just want to show the colleagues attending here today that you also have an EE representative explanation letter. What we have seen in the industry is that you now suddenly talk to a person saying you need to nominate, and the person will say, but nominate for what? For whom? For why? What's the roles and responsibilities? Please explain something to me. And we built in for you an EE representative explanation letter explaining exactly what the nomination process entails and what the roles and responsibilities are for the person that will be representing you in either the occupational level or the specific race and or gender. Okay. Thank you, Barry.
Perfect, no problem at all. Okay, then the next step here, or the next module, is your staff movement priorities. This is probably the most important module in this entire system. This is where you are able to see your EAP priorities in real time. So as you can see, on each occupational level, your top 3 priorities here are color-coded. So priority number 1 being your highest priority, priority number 2 being in orange, and priority number 3 being in yellow. So at a glance, you can see exactly what your priorities are on each occupation level. So whenever you have a vacancy and you either need to promote or recruit somebody, you always have to, by law, look at your EAP priorities, because you need to obviously recruit into your highest underrepresented races and genders. So this system shows you that in real time. If you go and do any changes in your employees tab, so should you go and promote someone, terminate someone, appoint new employees, the system in real time will recalculate itself, and you'll always have your real-time EAP priorities. So you'll see here the targets here are what the Department of Employment and Labour provides together with Stats SA. These are the targets for each race and gender. These are currently the national targets. Then the system also shows you what the actual representation is. So I'm just going to go on to a low one here. So you'll see there's 18 employees here on this occupational level. 15 of the 18 are African males. Their target is 43.7%. The actual representation is 83.33%, meaning that they are overachieved here by 39.63%, which is why they are priority number 8, the last priority, because they are almost 40% overachieved on their occupation level. Then you'll see your priority number 1 here is African female. They only have 3 headcount of the 18. Their target is 35.6%. Their actual representation is 16.67%, meaning that they are underrepresented by 18.93%, which is why they are priority number 1 here on this occupational level. And this obviously is the same for each occupational level, as you can see there. We can also backdate the EAP priorities. The reason for this is should we have a new client that comes on board and they have an existing EE plan, we can backdate their EAP priorities to the start date of the EE plan to see if the company actually projected correctly when they did their projections on their EE plan. We can have a look to see if they were actually following the priorities. And if not, obviously we can rectify going forward to make sure that they are compliant with that section of the legislation.
When it comes to EAP targets, you don't need to investigate on that. When these targets change, we change it in the back office, and you will always have the most recent EAP targets, being the economically active population targets. We are currently building in sectoral targets. So, colleagues, the good news I have for you here today is, should the Act change, and we do believe it might change March of next year and be gazetted, then we will need to start to prepare a new plan for you, and we're already in the process of building in the sectoral targets in the background so that you don't need to waste weeks and months to obtain those targets and to verify that pertaining to your current workforce profile. Okay, it will be immediately uploaded based on the new legislation and priorities in that regard should the Act change, which we do believe will happen next year. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Pieter. Okay, then we have the EAP Target Achiever. So this is a calculator for your planning purposes. So how this works is it's linked to your EAP priorities. And I'm going to use junior management as an example. So on junior management, I know that African female is priority number 1 here. So what this does is this shows you how your priorities will be impacted should you choose to do certain recruitment. So I'm going to recruit one extra African female here. Still remains priority number 1. I'll recruit another and another and another. And once I've done the 4 additional appointments onto African female, you see now African females are priority number 5. White male becomes priority number 1. Should I recruit one white male here? That becomes priority number 7. Then African female is priority number 1 again. So I recruit one African female, move to priority number 4, then colored male becomes priority number 1. So that just showed you how your potential movements or appointments or promotions will impact the EAP priorities on your occupational level. And as mentioned, this is merely a calculator. You can hit the reset button and it will clear your inputs and you can just utilize it again. So that's for your planning purposes. You have this calculator available to see how your priorities are impacted. Then the drafting of the EE plan. This module is what we utilize to create your EAP analysis in your EE plan. So you'll see the 4 different sections are horizontally listed here. When you select the first section being your plan movements, this is where we would obviously go and select the year of the plan and do your planned appointments, terminations, or promotions. And whenever we do the movements here, it shows you exactly what the movements are as you go along. So for each year of the plan, we endeavor to appoint or we endeavor to promote or terminate, whatever the case may be. If you hover over the occupational level as well, it also pops up and shows you the EAP priorities. You don't have to go to your staff movement priorities module up and down the whole time. You can actually view it directly from this module. You can also obviously change your occupational level here, and it will show you the priorities there as well. So once we've gone through the motions here and done the movements for your plan, the next step in the process is to assign strategies. So by law, you have to assign strategies for each movement on an occupational level. You'll see the occupational levels are here. You select the occupational level where the movement was possibly made, and then the system actually generates possible strategy narratives for you. We would then obviously look at the best possible strategy for that movement that was made. As an example, let's say you appointed your highest priority, you would then possibly select, ensuring that designated people are equally represented in all occupational levels as per the latest EAP targets. Once you assign that strategy, it will then generate action examples which are linked to that specific strategy. We would then select the relevant ones here. Once they go green, they automatically are then pulling across to your EE plans. There's no manual creation of an EE plan. While you are doing these inputs here, the system is actually busy generating your EE plan and EAP analysis plan, EAP analysis templates, which I will show you in a bit. Once we've gone through the motions here and assigned the relevant strategies, the next step in the process is to identify possible barriers.
So again, bearing in mind, sorry, Barry, again, bearing in mind, we don't leave this in your hands. We know that you are capable, but we become your consultant and we sit and we say, because what we do, we immediately identify a couple of possible barriers. And if I can give an example, Barry's going to show you now. Let's say recruitment procedures. We look at your workforce profile and we say, okay, but you have 0 disabled staff. That is a barrier because the DL inspector might ask, say, but why don't you employ disabled? What we do, we consult with you. We say, okay, let's follow through the process. Barry, if you click on the recruitment procedures, what will happen? There's 23 possible categories, as you know, of barriers for affirmative action measures. And Barry, when you scroll down a little bit, colleagues, you will see for each and every possible category, there's numerous barriers involved. Okay. There you can see as well. If you click on advertising positions as an example, there are certain things like we advertise positions in newspapers that's not always accessible for designated groups. If that is a barrier, let's select that. What are you going to do about it? We will advertise through PNet or Gumtree, social media, Facebook, whatsoever the case, because then you are giving the opportunity to a pool of people by not only using, as an example, the Rapport newspaper, which is a Sunday paper, predominantly or dominantly read by Afrikaans people because it's Afrikaans paper. Now you include it, so okay, going forward, we're going to utilize social media. We're going to place it on our website under career opportunities, whatsoever the case may be. And that will immediately, as Barry has mentioned, when it is in green, you can click to set the dates of the responsible person. It will prompt you start date, end date, whether it's a practice, a policy, or a procedure, and who is the responsible title, not person, ladies and gents. Reason being, and please go back and look at your EE plan and verify that it must be a responsible role person or title, because the reasoning by the Department of Employment and Labor is that if we input here Barry and Barry resigns, what then? Who's the next responsible person? But if we say human resources manager and you employ Barry resigns, he's the HR manager, you employ a new HR manager, then it's your responsibility as a company to say HR manager, employment equity is part of your portfolio. Okay. So when we assist you, we go through this, we look at certain things. Barry, you can maybe see on, let's look at under recruitment, the disabled. So now we consult with you as a company and we immediately see in your workforce profile, you employ 0 disabled employees. Why? We noticed we have a challenge recruiting disabled staff due to mobility, or when interviewing candidates with disabilities, they are afraid of facing discrimination, etc., etc. Okay, that's the barrier. Then, what can we do about it? We will liaise with the Department of Employment and Labor, and we provide you with a website. We will liaise with the disabled people of South Africa or the disabled youth. We provide through the online portal with contact numbers, or a new thing, the Department of Employment and Labor has an online database of registered candidates, vacant positions on this platform, and we even provide you the link to that platform where you will be able to receive CVs from the Department of Employment and Labor once you have logged in. Okay, so of course, now you come as a client and you say, but EECMS, we have a barrier particular to our company. Barry, that way kind of hours. Training, and I think it's under training. Okay, so look at this one. It's an airline. Our industry is governed by the South African Civil Aviation Authority, is as per Schedule 3A public entity, etc., etc. Okay, what do we do there? We say, okay, client, let's talk about your specific barrier. You give it through to EECMS. We consult with other consultants, number 1. Number 2, we consult with EE Master. And number 3, we of course consult with the Department of Employment and Labor as well as the Commissioner to say, can we take this barrier and what affirmative action measure can we link to it? Okay, bottom line, ladies and gents, the following. These are not cast in stone and or concrete. If you have your own barrier, we look at it. Once approved by the relevant parties, we upload that. But it's not only visible then to you as a company. If another company requests us to upload and review a barrier and we upload it, you will have access to that same barrier as well and affirmative action measures. So it's an ever-evolving online portal. So even you as a client, and let's assume you are in the financial sector, you will also be able to view that barrier, but it won't be applicable to your company necessarily. Okay, but then another company might add a barrier in the services industry that you might be able to utilize. Okay, Barry, so thanks for that. I think you can proceed with numerical goals.
No problem.
Sorry, non-numerical goals. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, then the non-numerical goals. So you need to assign non-numerical goals to your plan for each year of the plan. So as you can see, each year of the plan is listed here. You select the relevant year of the plan. And then there are numerous non-numerical goals to choose from here. We as consultants normally assign about 5 or 6 non-numerical goals from our side. These are training sessions, etc., that we have throughout the year to train your committees and your employees, etc., regarding employment equity. Also, there's quite a few that we add that protects you as a client in your EE plan. Should you undergo a review, that's already built into your plan to protect you as a client. Once you assign these, they go green. They automatically are then saved onto your document, your EE plan, once you select them. The preview of the inputs, this is only available once there's an actual new plan being created and the plan is not locked. So this shows you exactly what the inputs were done. And then once we're happy with those, we then generate the documents, and your documents are then generated into your documents tab here, which I want to show you now. So as you can see here, I'm going to select the EA12. The system generates the EA12 into the correct formats. It pulls your company's information across from your entity page, your CEO's information from when you assigned it, when we assigned it initially during the setup. So it's automatically generated. You don't have to go and manually create these documents. The system automatically drafts them for you with those inputs that we just showed you now. Pulls across the barriers that were selected. Your workforce profile. And then it does the analysis for you for each occupational level with the findings, and it assigns the strategies that we selected during the process. And once again, you can print this directly from the system, or you can save it as PDF. Then your EA13, the EE plan. Same story here. The system automatically drafts the document as per those inputs that we just showed you. Front cover page.
And this is as prescribed by the Government Gazette on the Regulations, 1 August 2014. Okay, so it's everything as per prescribed by the legislation, as well as the Department of Employment and Labour. You literally can print this, put it in your e-file, and you can also save it onto your internal server and or intranet or Dropbox or wheresoever you are hosting.
Yeah, then you see the non-numerical goals that you selected. They pull across for each year of the plan, the duration of your plan, then the objectives. That's the endeavor to appoint or terminate or promote will appear here as well. And it actually types it out for you, it words it very nicely as well. The barriers, signs of barriers, puts in the relevant dates and the responsible designations. Your workforce profile. Disabled workforce profile, your numerical goals.
Your numerical goals and targets are immediately pulling through, ladies and gents. You don't need to, even with the EA2, you don't need to go and determine out of your plan where or what is my numerical goals for the 2021 report. It immediately pulls it through already in your EA2, from where your analysis and your plan working towards your EA2 document, you don't need to do it. It's more than 3 million algorithms and formulas built into your online portal to save time and productivity on your side.
Then the strategies that were assigned as well also automatically pull across. Procedures to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the plan. So depending on what duration we select for the plan, so whether it be a 1 year or a 2 year or 3 or 4 or 5 years, the system automatically then assigns the frequencies here for you, for the stakeholders, of how often they need to be doing this. And so these plans have passed many DG reviews already, more than 70 in the last year and a half. So we know that all these different sections are as per prescribed by the Department of Employment and Labour.
It's also imperative to note when we get to the dispute resolution mechanism, the regulation says you need to include a dispute resolution.
Sorry, Peter, we lost you there.
Mechanism, and then a lot of companies, they say no, it's okay. Sorry, can you hear me now, Barry?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, so a lot of companies, they do not actually include a dispute resolution mechanism. It's not your company's dispute resolution. It's the resolution within your committee. If there's maybe a barrier or something, or someone does not agree to whatsoever, then You cannot just say noted or we are utilizing our company's dispute resolution whatsoever the case may be. It must be in a specific time frame.
Losing you again. It's breaking up a bit.
8 steps follow, and these steps are in compliance. Oh, thank you, Barry. You can maybe discuss the dispute resolution then, and
No problem. Okay, so as you can see here, yeah, you're breaking up very badly now. Okay, so the dispute resolution mechanism, as you can see here, it's an 8-step process.
No, you can proceed, Barry.
No problem. It's an 8-step process. So as you can see here, then we have the national and provincial targets here. Assigned to your plan. A lot of the time, the department wants to see both of these on your plan. So we have both national and provincial on your plan. And then the final page is your CEO sign-off page. You also see that the system actually saves your EA2 and your EA4 here. I'm just going to show you the template so you can see that it actually generated in the correct template format. And the system actually automatically generates a vertical gap policy for you because by law, you have to have a vertical gap policy in place. The system generates this for you automatically, and you can literally just print this out and have it signed off. As you can see, it cover page, company's name, and it has all the relevant content that is required for the policy. We also implemented a COVID-19 policy that was at the beginning of the lockdown, just after the first lockdown when the companies had to have a policy in place to start trading again. So we implemented that on behalf of our clients. And we also have a new section here where you are able to download EE-related policies. So you see currently there's 5 policies here. You can download these directly from here. They are in Word format, so you can amend them slightly to your company's requirements. We will be populating more and more policies here as we go along, but these are currently available on the system at the moment. Okay, then we have 2 monitoring modules here. So being your barrier monitoring and your numerical goals monitoring. So how these work, the barriers monitoring module, it checks to see if your barriers have expired, and then you need to say, have you resolved this barrier? If yes, what evidence do you have? If no, then you need to obviously do the inputs there as well. So this is literally to monitor your actual EE barriers. Also, the Department of Employment and Labor has started a new process recently. About 3 months ago, they started sending out requests for companies to actually send them the evidence that whether or not they have resolved their barriers and whether or not they've achieved their numerical goals. So which is why these 2 modules are on the system at the moment, to obviously assist with that process. Once we've done the inputs here of your barriers monitoring, you click on the barrier monitoring report and the system generates the report for you. Shows you the barrier, and underneath every barrier, you'll have your monitoring inputs that were selected during the process, and you can print this out and save it as PDF. Numerical goals monitoring. How this works is it automatically defaults to the current date, shows you what year of the plan that you're currently on. Also shows you your current workforce profile. It shows you the targets and goals that were implemented in your plan. It shows you the numerical objectives for that year of the plan. So this is currently your year 2 of the plan. So it says that showed you what you actually projected in your plan for the second year. And then it shows you the accumulated goals for the end of year 2. So what you've already achieved, what you still require to achieve your numerical objectives, and what you have overachieved as well. And once again, you can generate a report for this section of your plan.
Just on that, colleagues, I visited a corporate company yesterday. And they said, you know what, we cannot believe that the online portal is actually monitoring our plan. Because that is where companies are being caught out in these reviews. Say, you know what, but you do have this plan. Now you will need to have justifiable reasons as to why you did not achieve your plan if you did not achieve it. The online portal literally monitor your plan to say, this is where you overachieved, this is where you underachieved, speaking, is what you and your committee members need to review on a quarterly basis. Say, colleagues, we have not achieved this as yet. It's still part of our plan. for let's
Peter,
say
you're breaking up a bit again.
3, why have we not achieved that? We're going to need something for you. Thanks, Barry. You can proceed.
No worries. Thanks a lot for that. Okay. You are able to log support tickets directly from the system. So should you have an issue, you can go and log a support ticket and it will be responded to, sent to the correct department, and it will be responded to by the relevant parties should you have a support issue. Users. On the users, you have no limitations to the amount of users you can assign to your profile. You can add as many as you want. There's no limitations. And you can also set as to what those users can and cannot do. So we have currently 3 user options, the one being super user. So each profile will have one super user, and then you can add as many either normal users or administrative users. So a normal user can access the system, but they cannot see any remuneration information on an employee's profile. So if they select an employee's profile, it is hidden away. They cannot see that. So if you need to have a junior person to update your profile for you, and they're not privy to your remuneration information, you can then assign them as a normal user, and they won't be able to see the remuneration on any employees, nor will they be able to access the EA4 reporting module, nor will they be able to see the EA4 report in your documents tab either. If you assign a user with administrative rights, they have full access to everything, including remuneration, as well as the EA4 reports. Managing your profile. So you can manage your account from here. So you can change your password here, and you can also add 2-factor authentication to your profile. So this is an additional layer of security. So because the system is already highly encrypted, so your data is secure. However, should you want to have an additional layer of security, you can add your mobile phone number in here, click enable, then it will send you a test one-time PIN like what the banks do. Then the next time when you log into your profile, after you've typed in your password, it will send a one-time PIN to your cell phone to grant you access to your profile. In regards to reporting, so as mentioned earlier, the system actually generates these reports for you. So there's no manual creation of reports, and it also generates or does all the calculations on your EA4 report for you. It works out your vertical gap, it works out your median remuneration, it works out all those different calculations for you with a click of a button. So I'm just going to show you both these modules. The EA2 report module obviously shows you your barriers first. So you double check the barriers, you lock and save those. Then it monitors your actual plan for the year, and it shows you whether or not you've achieved your annual objectives. So if you achieve them, there'll be a blue box with a white tick. If you haven't achieved them, there'll be a white box here. And you can then select these justifiable reasons here. If you want to use your own reason, you can also type in your own reason on the right-hand side there, should these justifiable reasons not be the correct reason for not achieving the objective. Once you've done that, we lock and save. Consultation, the DL wants to know who's involved in your quarterly meetings. So that's obviously either your committee, your employees. And if you have a trade union rep sitting in on your meetings, you would select that option as well. Once again, you lock and save. Monitoring either monthly or quarterly. We do our meetings quarterly, lock and save. And you click on the preview and the system generates your EA2 report for you.
Again, bearing in mind, we are part of this process. We show you where to lock and save and what possible reasons could be, etc., etc. Okay, so we again don't just leave the online portal in your hands. We facilitate this process on your behalf as well.
Okay, thanks for that, Peter. Okay, then the EA4 reporting inputs module. This one just takes a few seconds to open as there's quite a few algorithms running through this tab. Okay, so as you can see, before you even start updating anything, it actually tells you how to work out your annualized remuneration, how to do the calculation, what the difference is between fixed and variable remuneration, what is specifically excluded, and you're also able to bulk upload your remuneration. So you are able to export this table here, your remuneration table, to Excel, populate it via your payroll system, and then you can re-import it here, and it tells you how to do that as well. And once it's updated, That's the only thing you really have to have ready for your Q4 meeting or your EA4 report is make sure your workforce profile is updated and your remuneration is updated once per annum prior to your Q4 meeting. Then all that's left to actually generate your EA4 report is reasons for income differential. So we select the one option there. We normally say to our clients, select poor performance, quantity or quality of work. The reason for that is that it's the hardest to disprove in a court of law. Select the option, lock and save. Then you need to select the 3 questions here for the vertical gap analysis. So we obviously provide you with the vertical gap analysis every single year as it changes from year to year because of your remuneration update. The vertical gap does fluctuate from year to year. So as you can see here, once we lock down your reporting inputs, it will literally generate a new vertical gap policy for you every year as well. Once we selected these options here, you click the save button and you are able to generate your EA4 report directly from here. And it does all the calculations for you. We just double check the data to ensure that it looks correct. And then you're all ready for submission for submission time. We also
what we do, sorry, but I just want to get in here. Remember, we do the submissions on your behalf, but what we do, Barry, if you scroll up a little bit for me, we do a red flag analysis. So, Barry, if you can, Sumer, let's look at annualized fixed. So what we then do for demo company immediately, and please bear in mind this is only for demo purposes, we can see, but client, you have annualized fixed as 0, annualized variable as 0. Something is wrong here. So we do that red flag analysis to see whether you are achieving the minimum wage. Because remember one thing, as per the proposed amendment bill, that will be one of the requirements to pay minimum wage. And then we tell the client, okay, first update that. Once we have updated that again, we can click again on annualized fixed. It will show you the highest earner. Okay, and what we then do is to say, okay, do you agree more or less with the lowest as well as the highest? Because that can have a huge impact on your vertical gap, which could be red flagged by the Department of Employment and Labour. Colleagues, we follow through this process with you because it's our responsibility as consultants to ensure that what you are submitting may not be red flagged by the Department of Employment and Labour. And if that is the case, back to the drawing board, say, okay, but what is the justifiable reason? Okay, so Barry, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Pieter. I think I pretty much covered everything. Gone through all the sections here.
When you click on documents, there's again, as mentioned, is demo company. You will see there's an active employment equity plan. There's the reports for 30th of September 2019. Once we generate the relevant reports for 2020, it will appear and update, and you will have access to all your previous E plans as well as EAP analysis, as well as vertical gap policy, as well as EA2 and EA4 reports. Okay, of course, as you can imagine, for demo purposes, we're not going to update and update and update, but when you utilize the online portal and we become your e-consultant, then those reports will be onto your portal as well. Even though it might have expired, it will still be on your online portal for your perusal. Okay, then, Barry, if you can then stop share. I'm going to close off with the following, ladies and gents. Just quickly want to show you something here. For the companies that are BEE sensitive, in other words, you undergo BEE verification and ratings, the good news I've got for you here today is the following. Going to share the screen here. Barry, you can just inform me whether you can see EE Masterclass.
Perfect. Can see it.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, one of our business associates, EE Masterclass, it's an online training portal. Become an employment equity guru. There's certain courses. I'm going to click on the courses. And what will happen, you will see there are quite a number of courses from Employment Equity Amendment Bill, and you can see there's a cost to that. Employment Equity Committee Fundamentals, and there's a cost to that. Amendments to the EA4, Understanding Diversity, business communication, time management, etc. Okay. And you can see there's a cost to that. What will happen should you and your company decide to engage with EECMS? You will receive a quotation, a service level agreement, and a tax invoice. You did receive the quotations somewhat informally that are mailed to all of the participants. And whatsoever your ex-VAT amount is for that 6 months and the following 6 months and 6 months going forward, etc., we are excluding the initiation and the setup fee because that's an amount that we literally transfer to an external service provider to get your licensing in agreement. The fee that you are paying, we pay the monthly fee over to EE Master. Okay, bottom line is following. Whatsoever your quoted amount is, there's a shopping cart. That amount that you are invoiced for, in the invoice will stipulate trading for employment equity done by EECMS or the invoice done by EECMS. E-Masterclass will upload that exact amount onto a shopping cart and add an additional 3,000 Rand. And should it be a BEE beneficiary enrolling on the courses, so you have relevant courses, you have a classroom, you have an exam room, that person writes the exam and will then receive a certificate of competency, and that counts towards informal training on your BEE scorecard. Okay, so I had a scenario this morning where a company said, but what's the additional cost for e-masterclass? No, there's no additional cost. We quote 40,000 Rand per annum, 20,000 Rand payable, the 50%, and that 20,000 Rand is uploaded and credited onto the shopping cart, and you have that 20,000 Rand available, no additional cost. So you have us as consultants, you have the online portal, and you can have employees enrolling on to these online courses and claim your BEE points under skills development as informal, non-accredited training, of which I do believe the target is, or the budget available is 15% of your certain amount pertaining to BEE. Okay, so why did we bring this in? We said, let's engage with this business association. So, but you have the best of both worlds. So in other words, it's a no-brainer. On the one hand, you have a consultant. On the other hand, you have an online portal, and we assist you with certain things onto that online portal. And the third tier is you have the e-masterclass to your disposal to that amount, of which you can give our invoice as well as a copy of the ID of the person that enrolled and received a certificate, as well as the ID document and the certificate of that person, and you claim it as BE points. Okay, so I'm going to stop share here. I see there is a question or two. We'll be in contact, etc. Okay, ladies and gents, Barry, anything further from your side?
All good from my side, Pieter. Thanks a lot.
Okay, ladies and gents, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the opportunity to unmute yourself and raise your query, and let's tackle it from there. Any questions from anyone? We will, of course, also send a recording to everyone. Phila, I see you've got a question there.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, so for us, it's we are a head office environment, Barry, and it's quite small. I'm talking 24 people. Literally the last person that was hired in 2019. And before that, it would have been literally 8 years ago that someone was hired. Our EE plan is literally, there's nothing, there's really nothing. It's on attrition, and attrition doesn't happen often. And that's my complexity in terms of a 5-year employment equity plan in a place where it's a head office environment with just a group audit, group HR, group accountant, and people have been here 13 years or 23 years. What do we do in that situation?
Look, it's basically twofold because remember one thing. If your company employ less than 50 people, now I'm talking about the specific company. If you look at the pay as you earn in the registration numbers,
Yeah.
you say this is, let's say, a holding company. Any company and or subsidiary employing less than 50 people, that's less than 50 people. It seems, as per the proposed amendment bill, that those companies will not need to comply with Chapters 3 of the Employment Equity Act after the Government Gazette. In other words, Chapters 3 being the EAP analysis, I committee, an employment equity manager, plans, policies pertaining to submissions, etc., etc. Then you will be deemed compliant if you are in compliance with Chapter 2 of the Act, which deals with affirmative action and non-discrimination and paying the minimum wage.
Yeah.
So in other words, any company, and we had a situation like this last week with a company that approached EECMS, and I think it was 9 of the companies employ less than 50 people. And we said, you did report in the past, you have to comply, maybe due to annual turnover threshold, whatsoever the case may be, but you are not
the
our
turnover
kind
will
of
be high.
turnover will be high. So now you have to comply, but with the proposed amendment bill, this is why we told these 9 companies within the group, we said, you know what, let's rather work on the 8 other companies in the group that definitely employ much more than 50 employees. Because we said, it does not help that we engage with your company if March, most probably, please remember, it's the proposed amendment bill, it's not gazetted yet, but most probably March, April next year, we're going to tell you you're not a client of EECMS anymore because you are now compliant, irrelevant of your turnover because you employ less than 50 people. My advice in that regard would be proceed with your current submissions and let's await the proposed amendment bill to be gazetted. And if that is the case, you don't need to comply with Chapters 3 of the Act. Does that answer your question there?
No, it does. It does. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions from anyone in this meeting? The question may be, we had this scenario a week ago, do you have the capacity as EECMS to assist us with an EAP analysis and a plan and the E-manager, the E-committee, EI2 report, EI4 reports, and submission thereof? The answer was yes, because we can literally do in less than 8 hours. That might take your company and or HR and or E-manager weeks, if not months. Okay, so yes, we have the capacity. Yes, we are running out of time. So if any company says on the 10th of January, please get everything up and running, the chances are extremely likely that we will be able to do it. But the suggestion would also be do not wait until the 10th of January. Okay. Any questions from anyone, maybe pertaining to your particular company? You're more than welcome to raise your query. I think before we take another question or 2, 3, hopefully, ladies and gents, please, you're more than welcome. If you would like to have a formal quotation and a service level agreement, we would love to get you on board, and we know that you would love the online portal and EECMS being consultants. You can maybe just send me an email, cp@eecms.co.za, saying please provide us with a formal quotation, and I will just request the relevant information pertaining to your VAT number, your company address, etc., etc. Okay. Want to see you, Wendy. You've been on the online portal for quite some time. Utilizing. Are you in the house there, Wendy? So I see January left. Wendy, can you hear us? Okay, whilst we are waiting for Wendy, ladies and gents, any questions from your side? Any further questions? Wendy, are you there? Okay, I know Wendy is one of our current clients, and I see that she joined this meeting as well. They've been utilizing the online portal and our services for quite a number of years. So yes, ladies and gents, any questions? If you would like to have a formal quote, pop me an email, just say, quote me please, and we'll take it from there. Any questions? I'm still available. Barry, you are still available. Any questions on our services, on how you can gain your BEE points and the skills development as informal training on the online portal? Any questions, ladies and gents? If you have maybe a specific question pertaining to your company, you are more than welcome to remain in this meeting. Barry, thanks a lot for your lovely presentation. Colleagues, you are more than welcome to leave the meeting then. And if you have any questions, pop me an email. If you have a question currently, you can remain in the meeting, maybe specific to your company, and we can take it from there.
For more information about EECMS, please feel free to visit our website at www.eecms.co.za. Thank you for attending.